The moment the contract was signed, the countdown to disaster began.
It really did.
We're talking about a multi-million-dollar luxury estate, a global pop superstar, and an 86-year-old veteran who was battling a degenerative disease.
And for 4 years, this was just a slow-motion legal collision.
A legal war that became a total public relations
Oh,
nightmare.
absolutely. It pitted Katy Perry against Carl Westcott over this $15 million property in Montecito.
And the final verdict, it was pretty shocking. Not only did Perry win the house, but she was also awarded a net sum of $1.8 million in damages.
A huge amount of money.
Welcome to StarScope Report. We don't just read the headlines.
We tear through the court filings, the insider reports, and all the celebrity drama to give you the real story behind the fame.
Our mission today is simple. We're going to explain the logic of this verdict, uncover the specific evidence that, well, doomed the seller's case, and talk about the huge reputational cost Perry paid for this win.
Today, we are deep diving into the Gudvi v. Westcott mansion dispute. We'll show you exactly how the judge calculated that final $1.8 million figure.
And why this story is less about real estate and maybe more about the relentless legal strategy that some of Hollywood's biggest stars use.
It really is.
So before we even get to the dollars and cents, we have to look at the battlefield itself. And this Montecito neighborhood is a serious battlefield.
It's not just any neighborhood.
No. We're talking a $15 million, 8-bedroom, 11-bathroom estate. It's right next to homes owned by, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Oprah Winfrey.
Right. This isn't just property. It's a prestige asset.
Exactly.
And the purchase happened back in 2020. Katy Perry, who was operating through her business manager, Bernie Gudvi, along with her partner, Orlando Bloom,
Yeah.
they agreed to buy the home.
And they tried to make this whole thing very personal, which I think is a really key detail.
It is.
They apparently wrote a personal letter to the seller, Carl Westcott, telling him this huge home was going to be their family sanctuary for their daughter, Daisy Dove, who was due the next month.
They really leaned into that, the loving home they were going to create.
Yeah.
But the whole key to this 4-year fight is the seller, Carl Westcott. He was 86, a disabled veteran, and the founder of 1-800-Flowers.
And critically, he had been diagnosed with Huntington's disease back in 2015.
Which is just a terrible progressive neurological condition. It deeply affects your movement, your cognition, everything.
So you have this high-stakes, very personal negotiation. The contract gets signed in July 2020. But almost immediately, we're talking within days, Westcott wanted out.
Right. He tried to rescind the deal, claiming he lacked the mental capacity to even understand the agreement he'd just signed.
His whole legal claim was basically elder law and cognitive capacity.
Exactly. His team argued he was suffering from postoperative delirium after a major back surgery, he had symptoms of dementia, and he was on heavy, mind-altering opiate painkillers.
In short, he was medically incapacitated when he signed. Or so he claimed.
That was the argument.
And the optics, from the jump, they were just devastating for Perry.
Oh, a total nightmare. You have one of the world's richest entertainers going after an elderly, ailing veteran. The media just loved that David and Goliath story.
It was a brutal narrative.
But this is where the law separates, public sympathy from contractual reality. Westcott's claim of incapacity, the foundation of his entire defense, was just completely dismantled by Perry's legal team.
And the evidence they used involves one of the strangest celebrity twists you can possibly imagine.
It really does.
Okay, so let's get into how Perry's team won this, because 4 years later, in May 2024, Judge Joseph Lipner rules definitively. Westcott was competent. How do you argue competence against a diagnosis like Huntington's?
Well, that's the thing. They didn't argue the diagnosis. They argued the transaction. The judge found, and I'm quoting here, no persuasive evidence that he lacked capacity.
So what did they use? Not doctors.
No, they used behavioral evidence. They brought out text messages, emails, witness testimony, all showing Westcott was coherent, engaged, lucid, and rational during that critical period.
But couldn't those just be, like, moments of clarity if he was really suffering from delirium? What was the absolute nail in the coffin?
It was his sophisticated transactional agency. The absolute twist that killed his defense was the revelation that Westcott was actively, and I mean actively, negotiating a rival bid right up until he took Perry's offer.
A rival bid? For who?
From Maria Shriver.
Wait, Maria Shriver. So he wasn't just sitting in a haze signing papers. He was playing two celebrity bidders off each other.
Precisely. The evidence showed him comparing Shriver's offer against Perry's. He was organizing property tours, even haggling over commission rates. This wasn't someone who was incapacitated.
He was making a complex counteroffer for $15 million.
Exactly. The judge decided that proved he completely understood the deal terms, the market, the financial implications, all of it. He was competent at the moment of signing.
And that's the key legal point for you to understand here. Capacity is a transaction-specific standard. It doesn't matter if you have a general medical diagnosis.
Right. What matters is, in that precise moment you signed, did you get it? Did you understand the consequences? And his actions proved he did.
And the celebrity connections just kept getting wilder, even after the verdict.
Oh, yeah. Westcott's lawyer later made this very public claim that after Perry won the house, she immediately rented it out to actor Chris Pratt and his wife, Katherine Schwarzenegger.
I have to stop you there. Katherine Schwarzenegger is Maria Shriver's daughter.
Yep.
So Shriver loses the bid for the house, but her daughter and son-in-law end up renting it from the very person who beat her.
That is pure Hollywood absurdity.
Wow.
And Westcott's team even tried to use that during the damages phase. They argued the house couldn't have been in such bad shape if she was able to immediately rent it to A-listers.
That sets us up perfectly for the money side of this. Once the contract was validated, Perry could sue for damages from the 4-year delay.
And she was demanding millions.
If you're loving these deep dives into celebrity legal drama, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're only halfway through this financial breakdown.
Right, so the damages phase is where the numbers get really fascinating. Perry's team asked for a huge sum. Nearly $4.7 million in total.
Almost $5 million. What made up that claim?
Two main things. First, the big one. $3.5 million for lost rental value. That's for the 4 years she couldn't use or rent out this prime Montecito property.
The opportunity cost.
Exactly. And second, she wanted about $1.3 million for necessary repairs. Things like water damage in the basement, clearing a huge fallen tree on the property.
Okay, so that was Perry's ask. What about Westcott's side?
Well, his team argued that Perry's company still owed him $6 million of the purchase price, since she only paid $9 million up front.
Ah.
So they rejected the damage claim and argued her liability should be capped at maybe $260,000 for repairs.
This is where Judge Lipner comes in with the judicial compromise. He had to be fair and strictly compensatory, not punitive, because the case was so sensitive.
He really did. And that's how we get to the very precise net award of $1,842,142.84.
Okay, break down the math for us. How do you go from asking for $4.7 million to getting $1.8?
So the judge agreed Perry deserved compensation for the delay, but he knocked the rental value down a bit to about $2.8 million. He also awarded the repairs. But look closely.
What am I looking for?
He awarded about $260,000 for repairs, which is almost exactly the number Westcott's own team had suggested was reasonable.
He's signaling he's being careful, not just letting her inflate the costs.
Exactly. So the gross award was around $3 million. But then came the huge deduction. This is the key legal move. The $1.25 million deduction. It's called a mitigation offset. The judge applied it because Perry's holding company, Gudvi, got to keep the remaining $6 million balance of the purchase price for those 4 years.
I see. So the judge is basically saying you can't claim full damages for not having the house and also benefit from holding on to $6 million that should have gone to the seller.
Precisely. That capital could have been invested. It could have been earning interest.
So the judge assumed she mitigated her losses by keeping the cash.
That's the logic. The ruling was designed to be strictly compensatory, not a windfall. The final $1.8 million is then just deducted from the $6 million Gudvi was holding.
So the money's settled, the house is hers, but that public relations nightmare, that's the cost you can't put a number on.
It was relentless. The David and Goliath narrative just got worse when Carl Westcott's son, Chart, went public. He slammed Perry for her greed and entitled celebrity behavior.
He said she acted with zero empathy towards a man who was reportedly in hospice care while this was all dragging on.
Heavy condemnation, especially when you think about Perry's own testimony. In a 2023 Zoom hearing, they asked her what she stood to gain from all this. Her one-word answer was justice.
Wow. And that pursuit of justice, even if legally sound, was just completely overshadowed by the story of her opponent's vulnerability.
And if you zoom out, this isn't an isolated incident. This is actually part of a clear pattern for Perry's team when it comes to acquiring high-stakes assets.
You have to bring up the infamous convent case. That gives us so much more context.
You have to. The long fight from 2015 to 2018 over the Los Feliz convent with the Catholic nuns, that was another legally complex, emotionally charged battle where she was fighting elderly nuns.
And tragically, one of the nuns involved actually collapsed and died during the legal proceedings.
She did. So when you put the Montecito case and the convent case together, you see this consistent willingness to pursue legal certainty no matter what.
Even if the opponent is elderly, vulnerable, and the PR cost is just enormous.
That's the deep dive insight here. This is a cold, calculated strategy of asset management. It prioritizes the long-term value of the property over short-term public approval.
And the backlash in this case was so intense, it actually led to a legislative proposal.
That's where we get to the proposed Katy Perry Act.
Tell us about that.
Yes. The PERRY Act protecting elder realty for retirement years was drafted in 2023. It aimed to create a mandatory 72-hour cooling-off period for any real estate deal involving sellers who are 75 and older.
A 3-day window to allow an elderly seller to walk away, no questions asked, maybe after family or a lawyer has had a chance to look at it.
Exactly. The public outrage literally led to an attempt to change California real estate law.
Which just shows you the size of the reputational hit. The Perry Act didn't pass, but the idea of it just highlights the tension here.
Right. The ruling validates contractual integrity, but when your entire brand is built on being relatable and positive, this kind of legal victory suddenly feels like a very complicated loss.
It raises a fascinating question for you, the listener. When is a legal win just too expensive? Perry gets the house, she gets the money, but she spent 4 years fighting an ailing man whose family publicly called her heartless.
And whose ordeal spurred an attempt to create new elder protection legislation named after her.
That's the essential takeaway. Katy Perry has her mansion and $1.8 million, which shows her legal team won on every technicality.
But the price was 4 years of negative press and this persistent narrative that she leveraged her immense power against a vulnerable person. The legal documents show sophistication. The public reaction shows something else entirely.
A complex deep dive into celebrity asset management, legal rigor, and the unexpected costs of winning.
And a powerful reminder that in Hollywood, even a clean contract can lead to a very messy legacy.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.